Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download and free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. There are over 180,000 book titles to choose, so give it a go and get your free audiobook today from audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. Welcome back to my Careers podcast. This is the second in my 5-part series of facing your fears, because there are 5 fears that hold you back from achieving what you hope for in your life. In the last podcast episode, we handled fear number 1, which is the fear of failure. There are 4 more fears that are holding you back. There's a fear of failure. The second one is the fear of rejection, which we're going to be discussing today. The third fear is the fear of success. The fourth one is the fear of not being good enough. And the fifth fear is the fear of being alone. I wonder if any of these fears are holding you back from achieving what you want in your career or in your life. And I know we all feel anxious at different times, but these fears are the ones that are really preventing you from creating the life that you crave, the life that you deserve, the happiness, the contentment, and everything that is what life is supposed to be all about. So let's see, are you being held back by fear number 2, which is the fear of rejection? Every one of us experiences rejection, really, at some time and another in our lives. I know certainly I have. And it really does depend how we handle rejection as such, or how we view rejection, as to how well we can actually bounce back and develop the self-reliance and the resilience that's required in order to cope with everyday life. Now, sometimes the rejection happened when we were turned down for a job that we really, really wanted, or we were rejected by a person with whom we wanted to have a relationship. And, the truth is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, is that only people who never experience rejection are those who've never had any interaction with other people. So if you never talk to anyone, you needn't worry about anything, because you'll never be rejected. Be pretty lonely, though. It'll make for a pretty reclusive existence. And if that's what you want, well, fine. If you want to be a hermit, fine. But if not, and you want to have good relationships with other people, let's do something about it. So what is this fear all about? Fear of rejection can be a byproduct of, say, low self-esteem. Do you lash out at others if you fear that rejection may be coming soon? Sometimes people exit a relationship because they'd rather be the first one to leave rather than having someone else reject them. Do you sabotage your relationships because of that? Because you want to be the first person to say sayonara? Or maybe to avoid being rejected at all, you just simply withdraw from being socially interactive with others. So this fear of being rejected, it can create a damaging pattern of behavior in our lives. It can cause us to feel that we are not good enough for our desired outcome. Within relationships, it can really cause us to become quite obsessive, rather clingy and jealous, and can also destroy relationships that have hardly begun by becoming too serious too soon, which may drive others away. So, remember that rejection is driven by emotion. Let's remember how our thoughts make us feel. If we feel negative about ourselves, rejection can trigger off a whole host of other feelings as well. We might be feeling humiliated, or maybe the rejection will make us feel lonely or pathetic or inadequate. And the more we dwell on those feelings, the more pain we're going to put ourselves through, and the harder it becomes to try again, for the fear that the same thing is going to happen again next time. Have you ever gone through this dreadful cycle? I mean, it would drive you nuts, really, wouldn't it? And also, it just makes you feel more and more anxious and more reclusive. So how come others can handle rejection more easily, or it seems as though they do. A confident person realizes that rejection is simply a part of the risk of living, and that really, in order to grow spiritually, we all have to take the occasional risk and step outside of our comfort zone. That's really where the growth happens, outside of the comfort zone. The comfort zone is comfortable, but we're not really going to get any further, are we? So a confident person doesn't take rejection personally and may view it as a flaw on the other person's behalf instead. In other words, and I really like this, they think that it's the other person's loss. They don't think of it as failure on their part. They look upon it as feedback upon which to learn so that they can ensure success, or at least an improved outcome the next time. Because if you believe in yourself and you feel confident enough about yourself, if someone rejects you, well, honestly, what's the matter with them? Okay, it is their loss. It really is all to do with the perception and the way you think about or really perceive a certain situation. And so, what about tips to overcome rejection? You may fear rejection if you become accustomed to always trying to please others. So be aware when you're feeling this way and learn to say no to people when their demands, or maybe their requests too, seem really unreasonable. I'm sure, have you ever felt like someone always wants something from you, and because you don't want to upset them, you say, okay, yes, I'll do it, I'll stay late, I'll do this, I'll do that. But really you start to get so resentful that you get angrier and angrier with that person. And so by saying no occasionally, you're respecting your own needs, and this will boost your self-confidence to a level so that you'll understand and respect occasions when people might say no to you too, not because of any lack on your part, but because of their needs. And so if someone says no to you when you're requesting something of them, they're respecting their own time, and I think that's quite a smart thing to do, don't you? So practice. Think about saying no to certain things, because if you can, you're going to be more in control of your life. Now, what else am I going to be telling you now? Graciously accept any compliments that you receive as well. Too often we brush off a compliment with, oh, it was nothing, belittling yourself in the process. Accept compliments gladly. Simply say thank you and consider what the compliment says about you as a person. This will really boost your self-esteem. So here's another little tip. Imagine a scene when you'd usually be faced with a fear of rejection, and in your mind's eye, create a successful ending to that scenario where your wishes are granted and you get the outcome that you're hoping for. If you use this technique, you'll start to feel more confident that the outcome you want is going to happen, is possible, and that will become a replacement for the feelings of fear and failure that perhaps you've actually trained yourself to expect. Some people just expect failure. Oh, it's not going to work for me. Oh, I'm always wrong. Oh, it never works out. You know those people. I mean, I hope it's not you. And if it is you, let's just snap out of it right away. Constantly remind yourself, you have a fundamental right to be happy. I do, you do, we all do. If you're not selected for a role for which you've applied, or you've been rejected by another person with whom you'd hoped to create a relationship, take it, as I said before, as feedback and learn from it. It's their loss, not yours, and look for other opportunities that might generate the desired outcome. Honestly, if you hold back from interacting with people because of your fear of rejection, you will simultaneously miss out on wonderful things, potential happiness, warmth, fun, and excitement that other people can bring to you. If you never put yourself in a position where someone can say no, then you're denying yourself the opportunity of being in a situation where someone may say yes. And how good does that sound? Yes, yes, I want you. Yes, you got the job. Yes, you can. Now, Sylvester Stallone, he once said, and I really like this saying, I take rejection as someone blowing a bugle in my ear to wake me up and get going rather than to retreat. Okay, so anytime someone says no to you or you're feeling rejected, just think, okay, I'm blowing that bugle in my ear. I am going to wake up now and I'm going to move forward. So I'd really love to hear what coping strategies do you have that actually has worked well for you? If you'd like to share, or if you want to start a discussion, drop me an email at jane@janejacksoncoach.com, because I'd love to hear from you. And also at the end of this series of the 5 Fears podcasts, then I'd like to compile all of your comments as well, so that we can have a discussion and see what works for some people, what hasn't worked, what are really, what are their big fears as well, or what's your big fears? Let me know. So email me at jane@janejacksoncoach.com if you'd like to start a discussion and be featured in this podcast as well. So remember, until next time, believe in yourself and create magic. Bye. Today's podcast is brought to you by audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download and free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. There are over 180,000 book titles to choose, so give it a go and get your free audiobook today from audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.